And Elgin, whatever is happening, we play music or whatever, just give me a little signal when you want me to jump in and start. All right. And Warner, put up my poem when Elgin gives us that signal to begin.
They don't want to give a young black man a job, and they wonder why we sell crack, weed, and rob, and all these young black females selling sex for jobs, then get diagnosed with AIDS and commit suicide. A sad story, ends shortly, and it turns out she was pregnant. All God's children are important. Her son could have been the next Michael Jordan, but that was all cut short. She killed herself and her child, and all these people saying wow, and they label her as wild. But it really posed a threat, because all this really was a test. It was all cause and effect to show that racism is still in effect. And it's a fact, I promise that when I spit this verse, it sends chills down your back. It'll make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, because they know I expose the truth. But I just turned the page. All these inmates in jail are just the new forms of slaves. Slavery still exists as modern day slavery. I am not a monster, so please don't be afraid of me. He felt like a man with that gun in his hand. It was dead or in jail, and I was raised in a field. Well, let's talk about the city that I'm from, Iraq. Kids rob and steal, then get whipped on their back, but it's in a form of discipline. And the family's mostly black. And instead of getting hung, we got blacks killing blacks. 15, he was toting 30s. 14, he was toting max. No child left behind, but kids drop out a lot. Instead of being in class, he'd rather be on the block. Can't even walk to the store without the fear of being robbed. Can't even wear a hoodie without the fear of being shot. Police never been a hero, hadn't charge after charge. That's why he keep it on him. Catch a op and he gon' spark. Kids killed in crossfire. They was playing at the park. No matter who he killed, it was still a life, no more being on that block. He can't even sleep at night. The first step outside, he got booked by blue and whites. Now the judge sentenced him and took away his life. Slavery still exists as modern day slavery. I am not a monster, so please don't be afraid of me. He felt like a man with that gun in his hand. It was dead or in jail, and I was raised in a field. Now I'm locked up, yeah, I'm caged in, but these walls are starting to cave in as I get up off my knees and say amen. I pray for you to pray for me that I behave in. I gave in to temptation with these words mixed in these verses that I be creating. Locked in this cell and I'm far away from civilization. Carving symbols in the wall kinda got me feeling like a caveman. Exclusive, yeah, I've been waiting, but I'm honestly tired of waiting. I'm tired of being tempted by Satan, so you can slow it down, fast forward, replay this, and listen to the words that I'm saying. Slavery still exists as modern day slavery. I am not a monster, so please don't be afraid of me. He felt like a man with that gun in his hand. It was dead or in jail, and I was raised in a field. But I remember, everything is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Patience is the key to everything getting better. Everything is temporary. Forever, nothing lasts. I was moving too fast. I was moving too fast, y'all. In the city where I'm from, people want to move and run. Don't even want to call the police because what's been going on. They might pull up, kill me, then say I had a gun, then promise my family money, but it's just a refund. They making films about my city, but they not in these streets. It's entertainment to them, but it's real life to me, and it's real life to him, and maybe her. They don't know what we seen. I lost my homie to these streets. I lost money in these streets. I was hungry in these streets, and I was lonely in these streets. Genocide in my eyes, my people getting killed over pride. Murder rate so high, the whole country saying why. So how dare you criticize the loss of people's lives? Always talking about the crime, but you ain't even spent a dime to open up new rec centers or even school funding. All the gang leaders locked up probably ain't never coming back to these streets, so they can't tell us nothing. Like, why would I listen to you if you ain't getting no money? And I think it's funny how Obama from Chicago, so it got me wondering, like, if y'all ain't give me nothing, how I'ma make it to something. But my ambition, my grind and loyalty gon' make me shine. They think I lost my mind, but I'm just taking my time. My grandma told me, boy, just be patient. But how long have I been waiting? With these dreads in my head, their perception of me is Satan. But I'm God-fearing. Lord knows I'ma make $1 billion. These streets already show me you can lose your life in a flash and be the next pack in a blunt that somebody about to pass, I think.
Lil Sean. I close my eyes to hide the pain. Since you been gone, stuff ain't the same. People said you should've changed. Tears flowing down my face, and I know that that's your shame. And they was all up in your face, but they forgot about your name. So I got a double cup, a couple feel straight to the brain. I can't forget about them times when you always had my back, helping me while struggling, and I'm just thanking you for that. Last time I see your face.
My name is Oscar, and I'm representing Team Freeride, and the name of my piece is Survive the System. System just hit ya, like sentence can't take it, so fake it, you're now a mister. So many shoot, rob, lie, get jammed and become a Christian. Only the toughest lace it, associate with the racist, the weak, wait, and impatient. Race and keynote, something I thought you would want to know. I've been in the position, the 21 consecutively, so many birthdays and holidays I spent in a population of 10 unsegregated. We mixed from different neighborhoods. Nobody understood how it really feels, not leaving the 16 room monitorized, 15 camera type, emotionally fight demons inside. Angel outside visitation only lasts 45. Let's match it to the 45 the minor got because he was system lied. And the system lied. Moms in the courts couldn't take it. It was like retaliation. She couldn't fake it, so in public cried. They asked poor mama, stay strong. He'll be back in no time. She screams and yells. On the ground she fell. And asked God, please give my son a bail. Double sentence and reception was confused. Things got hectic. All them years he couldn't help it. Yes, he felt it. He calls it life. That's how he dealt with it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Free Write Through the Arts, an art exhibit as it shows up right now at the East End studio at Marshall, Michigan. That work that is up at the East End Art Gallery in Marshall, Michigan is by Free Write Arts and Literacy, which facilitates arts education for criminalized young people in Cook County, Illinois. One of our primary venues for interaction with such youth is at the Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center. And today we're sharing a small section of the work from our teachers and students. Some of the voices you'll hear from this afternoon have filled both roles in our organization and continue to work as community navigators among us. You'll also hear from our partners at EastEnd Studio in Marshall, Michigan, Warner Ball, the Frank Center in Marshall, Michigan, Jennifer Conley-Darling, our program director and technical director today, Elgin Bukhari-Smith, and Free Write's executive director, Ryan Kiesling. As one of the teaching artists here and somebody whose work is also part of this exhibition, I'll begin with this poem that should be on your screen. The Blues Purpose. If redemption requires one first to fall from a great height, then the fall must magic its way through the stricken body. The body must feel the blue through which it falls the same way we can see the bowed body, the broken body, plead with fate enough that its whole bending is a song and therefore blues. The body must detect some force there at work on its behalf, a hope and sweetness that is pure. It is in that way the body's opposite and doppelganger, and the body must therefore hear the striving in the note its own whip and willow wants in its plummet. The blues don't make no never mind to itself. It keeps on playing, tilting its shadow to an invisible instrument, trying for a chord that tells the falling body's whole tale. The one don't care if it shatters, if something comes to hear the tune and break its fall. Good afternoon, my name is Roger Bonnier-Yegard, and that's the Blues Purpose. And again, welcome to Free Write Through the Arts. What we're gonna do is you're going to see items from the exhibit, and you're going to hear from some of the creators of the work as we go through, and from some of those people who could not be present today. You're gonna hear they've sent in descriptions and conversations about why they made the work they made, how they made the work they made, and you'll get to in that way have a conversation with them. We would like to first introduce you to Destiny, who has done so much work here with us that it is impossible to quantify. Or Destiny isn't yet on. So let's move forward then. Is Cortez yet with us? All right, Cortez is with us. So I've known Cortez for quite a while now. Cortez is an amazing teaching artist and audio engineer here at Free Write Arts and Literacy. And I would like to invite Cortez up to the mic to talk about some of his work, not just the work that's in the exhibit, but the work that he has done with Free Write altogether. Cortez.
Yeah, can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me cool?
Yes, sir.
My name is Cortez. I work with Free Write. I've been working with Free Write since about 2015. And since working with Free Write has took me to California 2 times. They have took me to New York twice. I've been to Michigan. I've done teaching. I've done DJing. I've done audio engineering. I've done training. I've been inside the jails to speak to incarcerated youth. I've done many things with Free Write. I'm an artist, a DJ. I'm pretty much a wild card, you know what I mean? Like whatever Free Write need me to do, I'm here. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
So Cortez, let me jump in and ask you a couple of questions. You are a lot of the time when you talk about yourself, you say this, right? You say I'm a wild card, and of course, from our perspective, it seems you are more sharpshooter than wild card. If you know what I mean, there are these real specific ways that are useful, of course, for you, but are also very useful in terms of what we're building as a community. We're about to put up the what you call it, the portrait, the self-portrait that you did with Free Write, and there are a couple of things I remember about the moment of making it. I happened to be in the room at the time. I am not a visual artist. Elgin was the teacher of record. And so I have my own feelings about what it is we were struggling through at the time. But if I remember correctly, this was your first attempt at trying to do a self-portrait. Tell us about it. Tell us about what you felt. Tell us about like what you felt even going into the project.
I mean, going into the project, like I kind of felt regular, you know what I mean? Like I felt normal. Like so basically, when you guys told us we were gonna make a self-portrait, like I consider myself as a drawer, you know what I mean? So I pretty much thought it was gonna be easy, you know. But once we got started, you know, I started to realize that we are in jail and that we don't have mirrors, you know what I mean? So like I had to pretty much just go off what I think I look like, you know what I mean? Like based off, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where those earrings come from, you know what I mean? Cause like I do this when I was in jail, you know what I mean? Like we're not allowed to, you know, wear earrings and you know what I mean? It was just I was just going off me, you know what I mean? Like what I think I look like, you know what I mean? Like the beard, like I mean that's kind of what my beard looked like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of missing the little hairs right there, the little chin. So you know that part kind of right, but I mean. It was pretty hard, you know what I mean? Because like I said, it really wasn't any mirrors, you know what I mean?
Right. So that's really interesting. I mean, on a literal level and on a representational or metaphorical level, right? Here you are in this place where somebody is asking you to represent yourself, and you don't feel like you have a way of saying who you are, right? I want to. Now you also did other art forms while you were there. That question of the difficulty of having a mirror and how that applied to how you got this drawing done, did you feel like that was as a difficulty that applied as much to the way in which you created other art?
Nah, because I mean, like, nah, it was just so much of the self-portrait, you know what I mean? Because like, so I always like try to be like perfect, you know what I mean? Even though there's no such thing as perfect, you know what I mean? So kind of like when I was doing it and when I was writing, when I was creating it, like I keep asking people like, do this look like me? Do this look like me? You know what I mean? Because I mean, like I said, there were really no mirrors. So I mean, as far as like the other work was pretty guided, you know what I mean? Like you guys guided us through like the first part, and then after that, you know what I mean? It's kind of just free. It's free write, you know what I mean? After that, it's free write, you know what I mean? After we do the guided work, but I just found it challenging to draw myself without a mirror. You know what I mean? Like I haven't really looked like. I believe I don't know how many. I don't know how long I had been in the facility at the time I drew the picture. So to be honest, I don't know when was the last time I really seen my face. I mean, you can see your face. Like they have like little things with like reflections on it. You know what I mean? You can kind of see your face via that. But like as far as like a mirror where I could just like see all the details, like you know what I mean? That was kind of hard. But I was just trying to imagine the last time I really paid attention to myself in the mirror.
Cortez, was that also the time that we had when we found those weird like little plastic mirror things? I feel like it wasn't like quite a mirror, but it was like a little like reflective looking sheet of paper or something. I think that we used for that because we couldn't use like an actual mirror. Was that? I think that was what we did.
Yeah, it was. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was just like it wasn't a mirror though. It was just like it was like a little reflection. You know what I mean? It was just like a little. I don't know what it was, but it was you know what I mean?
It was literally some paper that I found at like a art store or something, and I think that's what we ended up using that day. It was so random, like so random. But I think
it was
people
some shiny paper.
Yeah, like I think people were freaking out too because they were like, "Yo, we can kind of see ourselves, you know, a little bit," which is so random in that space. You know what I mean? Because you never get a chance to really see yourself. So that.
Cortez, one more question. There's beeping happening in somebody's background. I wonder who's that.
That's me. That's me. I'm at work right now. I'm sorry. That's
hey man, shout outs to you doing work. Let's get it.
Thank you, Cortez. So, as I said at the beginning, I was in the classroom at the time that this work was taking place, and I remember. And one of the reasons I came to that class was I didn't know how to draw either, and I wanted to feel what it felt like to try something alongside the young people who were always telling us, "Well, I don't do that." So I want to be like, "Well, let me do something that I don't do too." What has been your experience with Freeride in terms of trying to tackle things that you had never tackled before? How do you feel you were held in that in those moments, and how did you move through those moments?
So when you say this, like, do you mean like as far as inside or outside? Cause
either way, because I would imagine it's different, right? There's a different kind of vulnerability, you know, when you're confined, as opposed to when you say free to get up and walk up, right? So you know, you could talk about either side of it.
I kind of talk about the sound and vision part, like the audio engineering aspect. So I mean, with that, like, I mean, so that pretty much started on the inside, you know. So like on the inside, when I started the DJing and I was doing stuff like that. So I pretty much only knew how to set up DJ equipment. So when we started with the audio engineering, and we started working with huge speakers, and when we started working with like 13 channel alignments, it's like I didn't really know what I was doing, you know what I mean? So Ryan showed me how to do it. Ryan showed me how to do it a few times, you know what I mean? And I would ask questions, but you know, I didn't really want to do it. I didn't really feel comfortable doing it without Ryan there, you know what I mean? So I mean, it was a period of time where we'll go to shows and Ryan would be there. Like Ryan wouldn't leave. So it was a period of time where he wouldn't leave, but he'll just make me do all the work and he'll come back and double check. You know what I mean? So I remember like the first day Ryan actually did left, like the first day he actually did leave, like it was one day he dropped me off, he dropped the equipment off. He was like, "Hey, you got it?" And then he really wasn't asking me if I got it. He was telling me I had it. You know what I mean? So I feel as if like it was just the faith, you know what I mean? Like the faith he had, you know what I mean? Like that's really what did it. Like it was just the fact that he had faith that I could do it, you know what I mean? Like he knew I could do it, like that's why he left. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he wouldn't have left me there if he knew I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So
right.
That right there, like it was just the faith, knowing he knew I could do it, me knowing that he the one who showed me how to do it and he an expert at it. Like that helped me right there. Just the faith, knowing that, you know, y'all got me and putting faith in that y'all taught me right. You know what I mean? Like Ryan's been my teacher for as long as you guys been my teacher. You know what I mean? Like I got trust in you guys, trust in the skills that you guys showed me. So I mean, when he left and dropped me off, he kind of just threw me in the fire. You know what I mean? He kind of threw me in the fire, but I learned from it. You know what I mean? Like I definitely learned from that, from being thrown in the fire. So yeah.
Sure. I mean, you just dropped a whole semester of youth development theory on us right there. Thank you for that. Last thing, as you just mentioned, you're doing audio tech, audio engineering, DJ work with us, and you're doing some other, you know, philosophical analysis work, strategic planning and so on with us. What are you most excited for going forward in terms of your relationship with Freeride?
I'm kind of like, I say like, I'm most excited to just see like what's next, you know what I mean? Like just to see like who gonna join next, you know what I mean? Like what's our next project? Like right now we got this community navigators going on, and I feel like that's going pretty well, you know what I mean? We be having pretty decent conversations. So I mean, I'm just looking forward to the conversations we have, you know, panel discussions, stuff like that. Like those are the things that really like stick with me, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't really say like you guys are my mentors, but like you guys are sort of kind of like my mentors, you know what I mean? Like those conversations we have like enlighten me, you know what I mean? Help me think. It helps open up my mind. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to more discussions, more talks.
Yeah, you know what's really going on, Cortez, is that we are both colleague and co-mentors. I mean, you all mentor us well. You know, that's, as we keep saying, that's how we figure out how to do this teaching. So we thank you for it. Also, like big prop. Thank you for jumping on this call while you're at work. You know, I'm glad to see you masked up. And you all, please, in your worlds, please give Cortez a huge round of applause and love.
Hey, much love, Cortez.
Thank you. Ryan on here?
Yeah, I just jumped on.
Man. Yeah. Man. Who do we have up next? Is it Warner?
Yes, Warner.
Next up, we have Warner Ball, who is the manager of the EastEnd Gallery in Marshall, Michigan, and who has been a partner of ours since we've begun work in Marshall, Michigan a few years back. You'll hear more about that partnership from Jennifer Conley-Darling when you hear from her, but I would like to introduce you all now to Mr. Warner Ball. Take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Warner. So first I can tell you a little bit about EastEnd and what we do. So we are kind of like a three-pronged organization. One is historical preservation of the historic building. Second is education and new work. We host hundreds of class sessions a year for youth and adults. And the reason that we're here today is to talk about the exhibition program, which Freeride is now involved in. So as an arts organization, as an arts nonprofit, we feel it's our responsibility to share narratives from people who don't necessarily live like we do. Of course, we host lots of work by local and regional artists, but we have a partnership with Freeride via Jennifer Connolly-Darling. So we're lucky enough to have Roger and the Freeride team exhibited in our Larson exhibition space. And the work in that exhibition is, it's by artwork from youth who are court involved or are currently incarcerated. And so what a lot of people don't understand about being incarcerated is that there's a huge isolation component to it. And so what Freeride is doing, going into these institutions to give people modes of expression via creativity, poetry, visual art, things like that. That's kind of what we wanted to put a spotlight on.
Excellent. We're going let me ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
In putting together this work, I remember we brought the work over, and then of course it was partly your job to curate what of that work you're going to actually put up, what the conversation was amongst the pieces, which I imagine also has an outer conversation with the people who were going to be coming into the gallery to see before COVID-19 jumped at us. What was the conversation you were hearing as you taking the pieces out of the boxes and trying to figure out what to put on the walls?
First, what I did is sort of try to figure out what visually worked best with the other pieces. Try to figure out the order of the pieces by size or by color or, all sort of visual components. And then the second question is, okay, which works have to go up? Which are the most powerful pieces that people are gonna really connect with? And the exhibition wasn't physically up for very long before we all had to start social distancing and isolating ourselves. But the groups of people that did go through it, I tried to carefully and tactfully explain to people, these are all by teenagers and 20-somethings who are on the inside, who are, currently locked up and don't have access to a lot of resources, a lot of programming, what have you. And most of the people who saw it were like, wow, that's really, I don't really think about that a lot of the time, which is the whole point of an exhibition program, is to show people things that they don't normally think about, but should be thinking about.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Last question I'm going to ask you is, anything you can think of that you did not know that you discovered in putting that work up?
That's a big question. As I'm putting up this exhibition, I'm kind of thinking critically to myself about what I would do if I had a lack of resources, lack of art programming, and honestly, I don't know. So I'm kind of asking myself that question. I went to a school district that had very limited art programming, and that's something that as a kid I remember really bummed me out, but I cannot even imagine having no access to meaningful modes of self-expression.
Right. Thank you so much. Those of you who are seeing Warner on screen, just to your left, his right, you're also seeing in the background the latest free write anthology, In Conversation. So a couple of things I want to say about In Conversation. The anthology is also part of the exhibit. Copies of those anthology can be had by going to the Free Write website and donating $25 to us, and we will mask up, go into our offices, wrap that up and mail it out to you if you do that. And also, as this conversation is going on, if you have questions for us or just commentary for us, please feel free to drop those questions in the Free Write event discussion box. We have someone there who is culling those questions and relaying them to us, and hopefully we'll have some discussion amongst us before the end of the evening. Thank you so much, Warner Ball. Y'all give him your love. Next up is a young person who has done so much work with us that I really don't know where to begin talking about her contribution. One of the things I'd like to say is that young people who, that I'd like to remind our audiences is that we try to be as sensitive as we possibly can to young people's agency in saying who they are, and identifying or not identifying themselves depending on the forum in which we put them. It was brought to our attention by young people in our program that we don't always want to be known as people who were locked up, and sometimes it'll serve us to say this is what I went through. But for every program, we ask the young people to decide if at this time you would like to have your real name be the name that is posted up. So today, this particular person is listing her name as Michelle Obama. So she is Michelle Obama for today. And I would like to welcome her onto our screen, and you're going to see some of her work in a second. But Miss Obama, I want to start with this question. You have done work with us for a really long time, and I've seen your work move through, get better and better and better, and I've seen you take on more and more genres of artistic work. At this point in time, what is your favorite thing? What is your favorite art form to be working in? And go ahead and tell us a little bit about how you got to that place.
My favorite form of art is probably when I did the silhouette and I designed it the way I wanted or have the image of myself. And I just threw like a couple words on the inside to represent maybe the thoughts that was going through my head or what I was thinking. And I gave it to someone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite form of art was the silhouette that we did that day.
Word. Yeah, go ahead.
I have it displayed just in case anybody was wondering which one that is.
Yeah, can you and Elgin, the piece she's talking about, is that the piece that we struggled with the administration because
Yes.
there were parts of it that they didn't want to sanction going out. I want to talk a little bit. I don't want to take up too much of Miss Obama's time, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of that particular difficulty that we have to deal with, where the administration gets to say yay or nay to the work that is created inside, and whether or not it can be shown outside, and how arbitrary that seems sometimes.
Right. Yeah, so this particular piece I thought it was so beautiful and dope. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have wrote a letter to someone who you really admired inside of, who was helping you out, especially in JTDC, and it was originally made for that person, correct, Destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like.
Well, no. Let me correct that. I made it for me, but
there you go.
I was leaving. She asked me, can I give her a gift or can I make her something? But it was like, it was too late. We only had that class like once a week.
Right.
I think I had a couple of weeks left. So I'm like, okay, I can just give her this and just make it personal by writing her a letter inside of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that actually wasn't a problem. Like that was not the issue. It's always something that these people, they have like different rules as far as like, well, this thing got a crown in it, or this thing has blah blah blah, and it had to come down to me being like, yo man, she got a crown because she's a queen. That's all that is. You know what I mean? So we're always having to like edit and fix things, and so, but at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure that our young people become published artists, and we want to continue to like cultivate their artistic expression. And then at the end of the day, even if they made something that, you know, the powers that be did not approve, and we go through all the cycles of everything that we have to change to make sure that it works, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, like if the artist is not satisfied with what is coming down at the end of the day, then bam, there you go. So Michelle Obama has been killing it, and she's always been making amazing work and whatnot. So I just want to say, like, it's an honor to have you on this call, and just as you've continued to grow and prosper as an artist, Yeah, it was amazing. I think that was the last piece you made in class before we couldn't see you for a while.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Miss Obama, one of the pieces that is up in the exhibit is the
Africa poem.
Right, the silhouette of the African continent with the poem inside. Tell us, and it's a very stunning piece. Tell us a little bit about that, about your making that piece, and how you got there, how you got to that place.
So I think it was around Black History Month when I made that piece. Originally, I just wanted to draw out Africa. Later on down the line, the piece came when I started writing for something totally different. And I was just like, the stuff that I was talking about in the poem brought me back to my ancestors and where I came from. So I was like, it'd be a good idea if I just place this poem inside the Africa silhouette. And when I put it together and I read it, I'm like, this go good together. This is good. So I'm gonna just keep it like this.
Right. I'm gonna ask you one of the same questions I just asked Cortez. Someone on our feed is saying it's gorgeous work, and I think they're correct.
Because it's fly.
You two have done all kinds of work with us, and you are currently part of our strategic planning going forward, part of one of our community navigators. What are you most excited about going forward in terms of your relationship with Free Ride Arts and Literacy?
My most excited moment or thing about moving forward with Free Ride is I get the chance to do what I love on a daily basis and get, not rewarded, but recognized for it. I mean, I always been optimistic. I always motivate people. I always give people advice. So me joining Free Ride and that's the goal, or that's the objective that you all want us to do. It's like, okay, that's easy. I've been doing this. So moving forward with Free Ride is like, oh, okay, Free Ride is just doing something I love. So
right.
That I've been doing already.
So what I'm kind of hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're excited about working with Free Ride because your experience with Free Ride is that you get to do or make the work that you want to make, and so that's the excitement about moving forward with Free Ride, correct?
Correct. I get to do what I love anyway while working with Free Ride. Y'all, the goal and the objective of Free Ride is to mentor, create, be expressive, be open, be yourself, and all that incorporate into what I already been doing. If that makes sense.
Right. There are in the community navigator work that you've been doing with us very recently, there are so far 2 of many moments in which I've been like, thank God destiny is with us. Miss Obama is with us, I'm sorry.
Miss Obama.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of them is when you asked us to make sure that we got some more women up in the group. And this one of the other ones is your making of the calendar, right? The calendar to keep so that y'all can keep your hours straight. The initiative to make a document for that. How do you see yourself in terms of mentorship now? Like, do you see yourself as a mentor? Like, talk a little bit about that, or if there is a place in your future in which you want mentorship to figure.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you were skipping. Can you please repeat that?
Sure. Given that you asked us, you pushed us on, get some more women up in here, and you're telling us to keep hours. I'm gonna invent a timesheet, right? what I'm seeing is a kind of leadership from you. What is, do you see yourself as a mentor potentially to other people, and talk a little bit about how you would like that to manifest?
Absolutely. I see myself as a mentor, and I would like to see that grow by working with Free Write. It's continue doing community navigating, especially when the COVID-19 is over. I wish to do it in person instead of having to do Zoom calls. And I connect with people anyway, but I'm saying people that I don't know. Like, it can be a moment in time where you know a young lady that needs to be mentored, or they need help or guidance or advice. You'll be like, oh, Destiny, I know a mentor named Destiny, you can connect me with them. I go talk to them, whatever it may be. I'll talk to them, I'll go get them advice, we go on lunch, whatever it may be. More connecting and networking, and I can see that going fast and going with Free Write.
Cool. The piece you have, are you able to, if we throw it up on screen, are you able to read for us that poem that you put in the middle of the Africa piece right now?
Yeah. If you don't want to read it, also,
I
Destiny, I do got a recording of it as well, just in case.
Okay, I got it. I got it on my phone too. I can read it off my phone.
Let's get it.
Okay, cool. All right, hit it.
Save time. Okay. I said, I live in a world where good is bad and bad is good. But when you try to do good, but all you get is bad. Like, when you try to get a job, all you hear is, have you ever been convicted of a crime? So you go back to the dog eat dog world, back to the get it when you can, back to the goddamn block where we wasn't raised to say he a king and she a queen. It's more like he a op and she a thought. I live in a world where people are happy with things just the way they are. Like, when we see ourselves as athletes, rappers, entertainers, lazy, stupid, pimps, criminals, worthless, or superior to women, and treat them like toys. They convince you that you aren't capable and don't deserve better. Well, really, it's just white America has more advantages and black America has more obstacles. What some whites don't realize is they're born into a world and system that automatically puts them on top and us on the bottom, while other so-called minorities, poor people, and people of color fighting each other for leftovers. This is what I mean when I say people are happy with things just the way they are. I live in a world where an attack happened almost in just about any way you can think of. Unemployment, hunger, which leads to incarceration. Liquor stores are on every corner. Healthy foods are on no corner. The laws are unfair. Evictions and foreclosure. Diabetes and high blood pressure. School with old wrong books and overworked teachers. Garbage on the street. Garbage on the radio. Drugs and guns imported from outside the community. And police and judges act like they're God. I live in a world where they kind of freed us, but they started lynching us instead. Then changed their minds and let us vote, go to their schools, and get jobs. Only if we dressed, talked, and thought just like white people. Now white America doesn't need us for labor anymore. Machines do all the work. So with real jobs and proper education, a lot of us commit crimes. They get us back in the system again, in chains again, and working for free again. So wake up, stand up, step up, and recognize what world we live in. Destiny Phillips.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Obama. Give her love, and she may be present to answer questions of yours at the end. The next person up has been a friend of mine for many, many years. We met in New York, and we have a long artistic history working in theater back then. And so she is originally from Marshall, Michigan, and she is going to talk a little bit about how we came to figure out that what Free Write does is work that might be useful as well, being brought to Marshall, Michigan. Please welcome the program director over at the Frank Center, Ms. Jennifer Conley Darling.
Thank you. I very much enjoy the sound effects. So thank you, Elgin, for the hype. So I am the program director for children's theater and arts education at the Frank Center. I am also the executive director of EastEnd Studio and Gallery. So I have dual roles here. I had the pleasure of working with Roger in New York while I was there for many years and producing his concert of poems, 2 different collections, and making one-man shows out of them. And Roger's work was the first time that poetry actually felt accessible to me. And it brought me it brought up new things in me, things I'd never thought about before, issues I'd never had to think about as a white girl from a small town in Michigan. And you know, all those years in New York, I worked with artists that were unlike me in many ways, whether they were people of color, from the LGBTQ community, anyone really that defined themselves as other is what the kind of art I was attracted to back then. So when I moved back to Marshall for just over 4 years ago now, we had a really wonderful opportunity to step in and bring art to our public school district. We had recently annexed with Albion Public Schools, and I saw immediately a need, an opportunity, and something that I could contribute to the public school system, which was to bring in artists of color and put them into our schools and help facilitate through creative expression what's happening in their lives, what's happening in their schools. And I called Roger. I called Roger because he knows, as you're meeting now, all of these amazing people, these artists, young and experienced, and I knew that he was going to be able to help our district, help our students, help our teachers, help communication. And here we are today, 4 years later. I mean, I basically dragged you up here straight away when I moved back. And Cortez has been here, Elgin's been here, other artists that you're going to be meeting, they've all been to Marshall, Michigan. And, it's a seemingly random place, but man, this town really does, we're open to understanding more about what we don't know. And my objective in both the Children's Theater and at EastEnd is to continue that kind of a conversation where, gosh, what don't I know? What are the issues, the social justice issues, the political issues, the interpersonal issues? What don't I know? And I want to learn from people that have a different story than I do.
I don't think we need to beat over the head the idea that young people making art is good for young people, not just for their social emotional learning, but as all kinds of research tells us, it also assists them in their other academic pursuits. In the work that Free Write has been able to bring to schools in Marshall, Michigan, that work isn't in this exhibit yet, but what can we look forward to in the future in terms of Free Write exhibit of student work from Marshall and Albion? And if you want to say a little bit about what the impact of Free Write has been in the schools there as well.
Sure. So really, what the future looks like is kind of dependent on when maybe we're going to be going back to class. And if we, in either case, what it's going to look like is free write artists, whether they have specialties in creative writing and poetry, in visual art, in music production. We are going to continue to bring you all from Chicago up to us if we can be in person in the classrooms and work with the students hands-on. And if we are not able to be in a classroom for a minute, then we're looking forward to online workshops. As far as I'm concerned, that's kind of where we're landing right now. The impact is pretty undeniable that you all have had on our teachers and on our students. We began doing surveys, gathering input both from teachers and students, and it is resoundingly positive. We're seeing higher emotional social growth. We're seeing more consistent engagement, not only when you all are in their classrooms, but after you leave as well. We're seeing teachers eating up the curriculum that you're providing and actually using pieces of it in their daily classroom lives. We're experiencing a lot more teamwork amongst the students, and we're seeing a real rise in the effectiveness of our work. So my objective is to keep it going and keep it happening.
Thank you so much, Jen. You all please give Jennifer Conley Darling a lot of love. Our next presenter is not able to be here with us this afternoon, but she did send me a paragraph of what she wanted to say about her visual work. And then after I read that, she is also a vocalist. And you're going to hear a recording of one of her original pieces, a cappella, that she did with us. Her name's Natalia, and she says, basically, my piece is about wanting to be freed of everything so badly, wanting freedom, wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen, wanting to be understood, learning how to be strong in places where you feel like you're locked in, ignored, forced to be silent, and have to do what they say when they say it. Being brave enough to express how you felt so trapped and how you came out stronger, wiser, more mature, physically and emotionally. This is how I felt and how I expressed it. I want to also say, and Elgin is probably going to want to jump in on this too before we play her piece. This particular student and artist, when she first came to us, we literally could not hear her speak. This is going to seem amazing to you when you hear this piece in a second. But she would not talk. She would not speak, and when she did, it was barely audible. It was barely above a whisper. She did, however, in fits and starts, sometimes just one line at a time, sometimes one line in terms of visual art, sometimes one line in terms of creative writing art, engaged with the classroom. And at first, a lot of that engagement was only with herself and the page, or herself and the microphone. And what we have seen is kind of exactly what she said in her statement right there, that she has grown, that she has become braver, that she has become wiser, that she has become stronger. And it is really undeniable in her work. And so I'd like to present to you the work of Nakaya. Elgin, take it away.
My name is Nakaya. I'm 15 years old and I'm representing Team Free Write. And the name of my poem is Freedom. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Freedom is what we need. Life is real, it's not a dream. Why can't they just set us free? Locking us up doesn't make us weak. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. No place big enough for holding all the tears you're gonna cry. I wanna be free, I wanna be me, I wanna be whole. 'Cause your mama's name was lonely, and your daddy's name was pain, and they called you little sorrow, 'cause you never love again. How can they keep me? I wanna feel the breeze, I'm gonna be strong. You ain't got no one to hold you, you ain't got no one to care. If you only understand it, nobody wants you anywhere. Locking us up makes us stronger. We want to be treated fairly. We want justice. We want our broken wings to fly again. So why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Why you wanna fly, blackbird? You ain't ever gonna fly. Thank you.
You have to say anything more than that. But Elgin, would you mind speaking to that a little bit?
Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, Nakaya is probably one of the most talented young ladies I've ever met in my life. As Roger said in the beginning, I mean, she was dead silent. Like and Destiny can probably speak to this. I mean, sorry, Michelle Obama can probably speak to this as well. But every class, we would kind of figure out, okay, what do you want to do today? And it will be like, I want to write a song. And it's like, okay, cool. There we go. We got something. What you want to talk about? I don't know. I was like, well, what do you love? Like, what do you want to talk about? She's like, well, I love my mama, right? And then we would come back a line after a line. And matter of fact, the song that you're hearing right now is actually the first song she made.
For me, she was sacrificed alive.
And literally what it would be is like a word, a sentence, and then we record just that, right? And then every time it will be something different. And then when we got to the point of being able to do the Louder Than a Bomb competition, that's where she really came alive, right? And she did a song that actually goes along with the piece that she has in the gallery. And the name of that song is called Why I Sing. And that song, I don't know, it just really kind of resonated with her, especially she grew up in church, huge fan of like Whitney Houston, and she just came alive after that. And then when we went to, like when we do Louder Than a Bomb competitions, we actually record the piece and then I actually try my best to get recorded responses from the people and let the youth know what scores they got and all that kind of stuff, and it really resonates with them. So after that first one, Nakaya came back the next year ready to go, and she was like, let's do it. And that's where you heard her second piece, which was the Freedom piece that you guys heard a little bit earlier. And I was there when she recorded it. Like, I'm hearing this in my ears. I think Michelle Obama was there too the day we recorded that. And I was trying not to cry, like literally trying not to cry in the classroom as she's like doing this beautiful, beautiful piece. And yeah, I just, I knew it was gonna go. I knew that piece was gonna go. And that particular year, she made it all the way to semifinals for that piece. And it was the first piece in free write history where a piece has gone. First, it was the first piece that got past the first round. Then it was the first piece that ever got past the second round. And yeah, I don't want to speak for her as far as like boost confidence or anything like that. because she can only speak towards that. But ever since then, man, like she's just been on it. And Michelle Obama, are you still on this call? Because I would love to hear like your perspective too, as far as
Yes.
this artist. So
So I have a personal relationship with what's her name on here?
She's not.
What's her name on here? I don't want to like be putting her on blast. It's Nakaya.
yeah, it's just Nakaya. It's Nakaya.
Okay. I have a personal relationship with Nakaya, and when she first came, like she was just so shy and so quiet. She actually reminded me of myself a little bit. So I was just observant, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go talk to her and see, like, if she gonna talk to me, cause she ain't say nothing to nobody. Anybody ask her
No
a
one.
question, she'll just look at you with her eyeballs, like you would have to read her face expression to understand what she's saying or what she thinks she's saying or something. So I spoke to her one day, and she talked to me, and I was surprised. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I'm gonna take her under my wing. 'Cause I like her. Then we started talking more, and she started getting more comfortable with me. And I was the only person she had talked to. So the staff used to come to me and be like, "Well, can you tell her she can't do that? She talk to the staff and blah, blah." I'm like, she'll talk when she ready. I mean, I
Facts.
can't force her to talk. Y'all can't force her to talk. Y'all gotta let her talk when she's ready. She's not comfortable. This environment is new to her. Y'all just gotta wait. And then after that, as time went on, she started opening up more. She started talking more. Then after that, I couldn't get her to stop talking.
That's so true. It's so true though. Yeah, and it would be. I think Nakaya was most definitely one of those students that it was. I understood the impact of what free rights work was doing. Cause it got to a point where like every once in a while, like staff would stop us from being able to come to class for whatever type of reason or something was going on, and I knew that we were doing good when I would come back and Nakaya would be the first person ready to go off on me. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing something right. it was like, where you been? And I was like, hold on, wait, is this the same girl that used to say nothing in class? Now she going off? Okay. All right. I guess you like this class, huh? I guess we cool now.
One of the things I think is really important for to note here at this point in terms of Miss Obama's talking about her relationship with Nakaya and her ability to broker Nakaya's relationship with us is something that I'm hoping and I believe Ryan is going to speak to a little bit when he gets on. And that's the fact that everything we know about doing this work, everything about free rights pedagogy has come to us through the young people. Every manner in which we figured out we have to flex in order to do most right by them, we understand because they've told us how to do it. So I want to just note that in terms of that relationship. Elgin also mentioned how well her work did in the Louder Than a Bomb competition. Louder Than a Bomb, for those who don't know, is a citywide poetry slam that is actually the largest youth poetry festival in the world, and it takes place right here in Chicago every late winter, early spring. It's happened here in Chicago since around the year 2000. So that is almost 20 years old, if not 20 years old itself.
I actually found that piece too. If you guys wanted to hear her first piece that she did, where she first placed.
Let's go on. Let's make sure that we have enough time to get in some questions at the end, Elgin. And if we have time, let's definitely play that piece towards the end.
Yeah, we can.
But I'd like to. I would like to throw up the work of one of our really, really superstar teaching artists, Alexandra Antoine, who cannot be with us today, for you all to see that and read you what she sent to us to talk about her work. So if you all can put those up, that'd be great. She said the two pieces I've submitted, Numunk and Tishefei, are two portraits of young children I've spent some time with while in Bamako, Mali, and Leogan, Haiti, respectively. They are both acrylic paintings on canvas in which I have incorporated hand-sewn beaded sequins directly into the canvas. My work is very reflective of my family, storytelling, traditions, and apprenticeship. While working with some of the students who took part in free write classes in Chicago, it was imperative for me to also incorporate elements such as self-reflection, family, and artistic traditions into our projects. Regardless of their skill level in the arts, I offered a variety of artistic mediums from printmaking and drawing to collage and sewing. The breadth of work we were able to create was a joy to witness and allowed me to connect with students through their creative vision. This creative vision is also what fueled the work I co-taught with students at Marshall Middle School and Harrington Elementary School during our collaboration with the Frank Center and Jen Darling. It's important that the students' voice be heard through whatever skill we are learning, and for them to have the opportunity to share what they have created either publicly within their school or in their classroom. If anyone is interested in learning more about my work and seeing more of it, they can check out the website at Alexandra Antoine, ALEXANDRAANTOINE.com. And that's Alexandra Antoine. Have we thrown up her work on the screen yet? Do we have it?
Yeah, everyone has seen it online.
Oh, okay. Good.
That's the cool part about having a tech. Yeah.
Next up, I would like to introduce you all to Ryan Kiesling, who is the Executive Director of Free Write Arts and Literacy. Free Write Arts and Literacy is co-founded by Ryan Kiesling in 2000, and so we're just about 20 years old. And he can tell you a little bit more about how we got here, about how those pedagogies developed, and where we're trying to head next. So, Ryan, you're Ryan Kiesling.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm actually out in my yard doing yard work, and I just got off a ladder after cleaning my gutters, and I'm throwing a ball around for my dog, and my partner and housemate and her 4-year-old are up behind me drinking wine and chilling on this beautiful day. So I'm not mad about this remote meeting format, because I feel just as connected to all of you and to these stories that you're telling as I possibly could. My heart is super warm from just listening, and I didn't actually come here to say anything. I'm grateful to have the opportunity, but I'm just amazed at everyone's work and everyone's commitment, and this has been happening for a long time. This work has been happening for a long time, and we all on this call have known. And Marshawn's calling me. So yeah, I just want to just acknowledge that and just say that it feels really good to be colleagues with everyone here, and to honor the commitment that everyone's made to this work, and to just listening to each other, and to being critical about the environment that we are working in, and being responsive and being creative, and being professional, and just being alive in a specific way. So I'd actually, Roger, you're doing a great job of like asking people specific questions to solicit certain responses. So I'm gonna ask you for that courtesy. What do you want to hear from me? Because I kind of just didn't even expect to talk.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I just am grateful to be sort of in the background tuning in. So
sure.
How can I further inform this conversation?
So I think what's probably most useful in this moment is a couple of things. Maybe 2 weeks ago, not 2 weeks, a month ago, when we were realizing that we would have to break personal contact and we weren't exactly sure how we would continue the work. So there's that. A. B, you are now the executive director in a very executive director kind of way that you weren't necessarily when you first began. You began as an artist and as a teacher. And we've spoken openly about how you struggle with that. You struggle with not being able to be in the classroom and having to do this administrative work now. tell us a little bit about the current moment in which free write finds itself, about you trying to traverse that bridge, and our figuring out a way for free write to continue to be useful and dynamic in this time that we find ourselves.
All right, sure. Okay, it's a lot of questions, Roger. Three-parter. I'll do my best. Free write is a leader in this work, nationally, locally, nationally, internationally. You know, forever. Like we have picked up the legacy of the people that came before us, both as liberatory educators, as artists, as abolitionists, and we've really grown into our place in that history, in that legacy. So I feel like we're creating legacy right now, and we're passing that along to the young people that we've met in the particular contexts that we've taught, and are really like stepping up into places where folks around the country are being like, how do you do that? You know, how are you successful in this way and that, and how do you merge like your ideas about education with the idea of eliminating prisons and defunding the police and creating safer communities so that those things don't exist. And so we're kind of in that moment right now, and I think we're all everyone on this call is in a particular place to answer those questions. You know, I have my perspective. That's Asher right behind me. I have my I have my perspective, and everybody else has their perspective, and you know, we're all going to just continue to offer that when people ask, and give them the perspective that we have as professionals, as people with tons of experience. You know, we all are in this game for a long time. Dude, get off of me. Seriously, I'm trying to talk. Get off of me. So that, I mean, that's one place. So that was the first question that you answered. Or first question that you asked. What was part two? I had a kid hanging off of me, and Marshawn's texting me about passwords. So.
Right. So you know, I was trying to talk about. I also asked, and I think it's kind of a complex, mixed up question about your moving from role of artist, teacher, teaching artist into the more traditional executive directorship of the organization.
Oh yeah, sure.
And you know how you've navigated that, and you know, I don't know if that has any bearing on the moment we find ourselves in as well.
Sure, it does. I mean, well, it does for me, and it also does for the health of the organization. So you know, like I've had to apply. You know, I was in that classroom in the JTDC for 15 years, and you know, like 3, 4, 5 days a week, and then you know, doing other things to support the work outside of that. So that's enough. That was enough. You know, like even if I loved it, and even if that space is very sacred for me, and you know, and like the people that I met there are very important to me, I could not do that anymore. So you know, I had to figure, that wasn't an easy choice, but I had to figure out what to do. And since this Free Write became its own organization, meaning that we had a fiscal sponsor until 2015 for the first 15 years of our existence. And then the beginning of 2016, we became our own nonprofit organization and accepted the nonprofit structure of, you know, director development, you know, how to raise money and all that. I had experience with some of that, just as a project manager or program director, and as a development person, as somebody who had experience with raising funds and building relationship with funders. But I didn't really have the full, you know, I just kind of just started doing it and figuring out how to do it with the legality and the superstructure and the board, and, you know, really getting involved in in broadening our fundraising abilities. But what I had to figure out real quick is, you know, I'm not interested in fundraising. I'm not interested in money. I'm not interested in grant writing, just principle, but I am capable of it, and I'm actually pretty good at it. But I had to figure out, like, what I was missing was the relationships that I would, the classroom offers you some really unique relationships, and you get a lot of feedback, and you create community in that space, and that's what feels good. So I had to figure out how to do that in the role that I'm in. So there was also like this idea that this nonprofit industrial complex is very similar to this prison industrial complex. It's a neo-colonial construct. It's something that perpetuates wealth, and it also perpetuates the problems that wealth seeks to address, in just the right amount that rich people don't feel guilty anymore because they gave money to it, but they maintain their status and keep people oppressed because they don't give enough money. The wealth isn't distributed equally. So I was aware of that structure going into it. So my role is kind of defined by acknowledging that and being like, this nonprofit industrial complex and this, this sort of patronage and this like philanthropic model is neo-colonial. It perpetuates exactly what it's saying that it's trying to eradicate. And that's sort of how I talk to y'all about it, so that's what it is. I'm going to approach funders, I'm going to approach partners, I'm going to approach other people with that perspective. And I'm going to build relationships through that perspective. I'm going to come at you as an abolitionist. I'm going to come at you as like somebody who doesn't believe the system is fair. And I'm not going to like beg you for anything. We're going to prove our work. Actually, we're just not even going to prove our work. We're going to show you what the work is, and you're going to agree that this work needs resources and that our community of other people who are doing this work needs resources. So I guess it's a combination of just me being honest with how I felt about the landscape that I was being forced to interact with, this philanthropic landscape, this nonprofit industrial complex landscape, and prioritizing relationships with people who are willing to hear that kind of thing. We're like, yeah, all right, I feel that too. Let's work. Let's fund this. Let's collaborate. Let's keep this moving. And I think that's, if I would have been anybody but myself, we would not be successful in supporting the work that you all are doing right now. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Ryan. That's the, to kind of slide off of that. One of the things I would like to say to anyone looking at this broadcast is that the question of carceral justice asks you all the time to consider your own safety. And what we're discovering, not just through the work we're doing, but through an understanding of what the work does on a broader scale, we are understanding that the work we do makes your community safer. The work that we do that enables these young people do to make themselves better equipped to navigate their communities, makes those communities stronger and safer, and therefore places like jails not nearly as necessary. And if you want that safety that politicians are always trying to sell you by telling you that we need to fund more police, by telling you that we need to fund more jails, then what you will do is take that money and give it not just to Free Right, though absolutely you should give it to Free Right, but give it to organizations that do work like Free Right's work. We've come about, I would like to say thank you so much to the people who've been here today. I'd like to say thank you to Miss Obama, thank you to Cortez, thank you to Aya's work, thank you to Warner Ball, thank you to the work of Alexandra Antoine. Who else am I missing? Thank you to I said one already. Thank you definitely to the work and support of the Frank Center in Marshall, Michigan, and to the support of Michigan Humanities. Michigan Humanities, big up, and thank you so much for your support. And a million thank yous to Elgin Bukhari T. Smith, our program director, our DJ, our producer, and audio engineer on the ones and twos back here. Thank you to Ayinde in the background too, also fielding questions and comments and so on from the people online. we're going to send you all off with some more work, some more vocal skills from Nikaya and whomever else. Thank you so much for jumping on here with us and sharing the work of the exhibition. Don't forget, go to freerightchicago.org if you want a copy of the anthology. Donate some money to us. We will send it to you in the mail. You'll get to be part of the work we do here, and please let us know in whatever way you'd like to be a part of continuing that. Deuces.
Hello, my name is Nikaya, and I represent Team Free Right. The name of my piece is Why I Sing. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because it relieves my stress. I sing because it makes me happy. I sing because it takes my mind off of things. I sing because this is a gift from God and He wants me to use my beautiful voice. I sing because I'm free. I sing to express my feelings. I sing to make others happy. I sing to calm myself down. I sing to bring tears of joy. His eye is on the sparrow. I sing for my voice to be heard. I will continue to sing because I know I can go far with this talent. I know He watches. I know He watches over me. Thank you.
And that ends our broadcast for today. Thank you so much for listening in.